Otto's furiously pushing buttons. There he is. Hi, Hendrik. Welcome tonight. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. Thanks for joining us. I'm just going to hand it all over to you. And we'll see you after.
Great. So how to create an onboarding your users won't remember. Today I want to talk about onboarding, of course, and the UX regarding onboarding, but more specifically how we can align our onboarding process with the overall goals of our users. And also maybe a little trick to visualize this goal or help you visualize it. But first of all, I want to start off with some promises that I will keep. First of all, I will learn you some of the things I like, not in a weird sexual way, but just in a professional UX kind of way. I will also learn you a new way to run and a new way to visualize goals. But first of all, we have to start from the beginning. I'm Hendrik, and there's something that we UXers know best, and that's of course doing workshops, but also doing or designing personas. So that's what we're going to do now. I'm persona number 1, and let's just think about what you know about me. Well, you know that I like UX, that I like giving presentations, and most specifically presentations with slides that are mostly empty. What else do we need? Right, a picture and a quote, because that's something that we always add in a persona, and something unique that makes it easy to remember the persona by. And mostly I just go for a hobby or an edgy hobby that nobody really does. So I picked rafting. Of course, it doesn't say much about me and about onboarding at all. So I'm going to explain why I'm here to talk about user onboarding. I already have some experience, for example, at KBC and at Tieteren with onboarding users. First of all, KBC, we worked at an onboarding flow that had 3 different tracks. The first one was onboarding new customers. The second one, giving the existing users an option to enroll in the app. And also, and this was interesting, to give prospects a chance to discover the application without actually opening an account. So this gave a lot of different insights for the same entry point, really, being the mobile app of KBC. And then on the other side, they also work for Tieteren, as is, they actually distribute the cars for these different brands, but also for some other ones. And for an example is that we're working on a conversion funnel that's the same for the 4 different brands, and we're looking to optimize it through A/B testing and user testing. Just an example. So now you know that I already had some experience with onboarding, and now what we need for our persona is a goal. And I thought of a goal for you, and it is Hendrik wants to buy shoes. Well, if you think about this goal, and we take a step back, how did we buy shoes in the days before internet? Some people may remember this time, but we used to go, well, people before us, we used to go to a shop, a shoemaker, and they ask for the perfect shoe. And the guy would persuade them to buy the most expensive one, probably, and they only had limited choices, and they could hear, touch, smell the shoe, and even throw the shoe around if they wanted to. But now we only have pictures. Well, pictures from different angles, and they zoom in on the fabric, and they still throw around with shoes. But it's just not the same experience. But the question is, what's still the same? The user is still the same. The user still wants to buy shoes that fit their specific needs. They still want proper advice and social connection. And they still want to have the feeling, that's the most important one, the feeling that they made the right choice. And this is the core motivation of the user. An example. These are shoes made by Vibram, and they specialize in barefoot shoes, even with the toes sticking out of them. And I just want to show you their homepage. And as you can see, they focus on products and on filters, and they want to sell a shoe. And on the left, they used an old design technique that is called make the logo bigger if the directors doubt your design. But nonetheless, this page is product focused, of course. Then we take a look at the competitor, Vivo Barefoot. And here on the left, you can see that they focus on reconnecting. Because for those that don't know, the barefoot shoes are well, shoes, but they have a very thin sole. So this means that you can feel everything that you step on. And so that's the focus here. You can reconnect with nature, and on the right side, you can see that they want you to know that they are very eco-friendly, and want to have they have the environment in mind. So this is very value focused. So both of them exist, but what works best? To answer that question, we have to look at what motivates the user. And I created a simple triangle, so like the triangle of Maslow. And at the bottom, you can see the attributes, and those are the things you can feel and hear about the product. Then you can see the consequences. What does the customer think it does? What does the product actually do? And then at the very top, you can see the value. So what value does the product bring? What long-term goals or objective does the product help achieve? For example, I want to buy a big car so I can see it's big, and I can lay down in it so it's big. I can fit my sofa from IKEA in it with a name nobody can pronounce. And my value is that I can have the freedom to redecorate whenever I want, because I can fit everything in my big car and I don't have to pay for delivery. Another example is Nike, where they have this commercial where they let somebody run up a hill, and the voiceover keeps saying, "Greatness is in all of us." It's a great line, actually, but they keep repeating that you can achieve your greatness by using Nike. They also did this with the shoes from Jordan. They said, if you buy these shoes, you can jump as high as Jordan. You can be the best basketballer you want to just because you have those shoes. And you see, they don't sell shoes anymore. They sell a way of becoming the best you can be. They stop being a product and they become a way. Now, of course, you're thinking, yeah, okay, this is some basic information. We all know this. I mean, we all went to marketing school at some point in our life, or maybe heard about it. What does this have to do with UX and about anything? Well, there was something that I noticed, that sometimes we do try to design as well as possible for the user, but sometimes we forget the bigger picture, because most of the time we just focus on our journey. So this is a very basic journey. You see, you start from the Facebook ad, you go to the landing page, you create an account, and you buy the product. So it's hard for us, it's hard for us to keep the bigger picture in mind. So I did some research on this and found some way to visualize how we can take the bigger picture into account. And that's something I want to show you now, because right now we can't visualize the value in this journey, because there are some things that happen before the journey and behind and after the journey, which we like to call the wonderful world of marketing. We just say, yeah, that's up to marketing, the acquisition and the retention too. I don't care. I just want to place my buttons here and make that contrast high enough so that people know where to click through. And that's good, but I think we also need to have a step back. So I started to wonder, when does our journey start in the world of the user? So I drew a picture of me on my journey, and this is my goal, having shoes, and in between stuff happens. And then I saw this theory that calls this stuff happens the value path. And this value is being a better runner. So this is our goal. Now, the question is, how do we become a better runner? And one of those ways is get a better running technique. So I searched on Google how to improve running technique. I found some examples, for example, here in this video that they explained, okay, you have to run perfectly, you have to run up straight, you have to move correctly, and your feet have to connect with the ground correctly. So, okay, another research, how to run better with foot on ground. I don't know any other way to run than on the ground, but anyway, they told me your foot has to be as flat as possible, etc., etc. But what's interesting, a bit lower on the page, you actually see a link to Vivo Barefoot. So you remember those guys that also sell barefoot shoes, and they tell us shoes should let your feet do their thing. So what they actually suggest here is that we already have the natural potential. Do you see the link with Nike here as well? That we have the potential to run good, not with better shoes, but just with our feet, because they are made to run. and we just want to support this. So you see, our path can look like this. We research on a better technique. We wonder, okay, maybe barefoot running might be a solution. So we buy the product, well, ideally. And this all serves the greater purpose of being a better runner. Of course, now you're wondering, yeah, sure, there are other ways to become a better runner than just barefoot. And this is true. You can compete with friends on Strava. You can hire a personal trainer. You can practice more. There are a lot of ways to become a better runner. And if you realize this, then you realize that, okay, Vivo Barefoot is not competing with Vibram or with just Nike and the other brands, but they're also competing with those other aspects of the user's life. So with the other interests that the user might have. And this gives an all different aspect on how you want to build your flows, because then that makes you realize this is a low value activity for the user. Buying the shoes and running with them is just a means to an end. And it's not that special. So we have to look into how can we align our different steps to support the value of your user. As you can see at the very bottom, the buying barefoot shoes is a part of the process. We just go running with barefoot shoes, of course, and the ultimate goal is being a better runner. Buying the barefoot shoes in itself can also be divided in different sections. For the first part, the research, then the payment, and then you receive the product. And they all serve the higher purpose of being a better runner. How does Vivo Barefoot do this? Well, first of all, you start off at the homepage with a video on how the shoes look. Then you go into the shop itself. You can see the different shoes, nothing too special. But when you look closer, you see that there is already some text there, which is quite atypical because they mention the value that they create. You see, they say feet first exercise footwear made with recycled and vegan materials. That's info that already everybody knows, but it's good that they repeat it here because it supports the higher value of the user being one, feet first, and they also know that the users want to reconnect with nature, so the vegan and the recycled materials are of course a plus. Well, the other aspects of the web shop, for example, that there is no call to action and the recycled logo that you can see here isn't really clear. It doesn't matter right now. We're just going to focus on the value that they want to emphasize here. When we click through, we can see that under the description of the shoes, they also mention unlock your natural locomotion. Beautiful sentence. With every run, walk, and workout, and at the very end, rebuilding your natural potential with every step. So also here they re-emphasize the fact that you just get better at running if you use these things because you just run naturally. And then of course there is the question, why would I switch? Because it's something different, and there they add the 100-day trial because your feet won't want to go back to normal shoes. And then at the very bottom, they re-emphasize the fact that the products, although thinner, are still that good, and they focus on recycled materials, and they also have Revival. That's the second-hand repair shop of Vivo Barefoot. So they keep repeating the value that they want to create. Anyway, when you click to add to basket, I was a bit disappointed actually because I expected the value to continue throughout the flow, but here they just went for this very, not very bold checkout process. They could easily have added the reassurance that it's only a 100-day trial and they can get their money back at any time. Anyway, details again. After you order the shoes, you get 2 emails. The first one is 3 tips for barefoot transition, which is nice. You already give something actionable for the user, and the personal email from the founders of Vivo Barefoot, which is also a nice addition. So if you look at the flow, they when you visualize it like this, you can see that, okay, the first part, the research, really supports the idea of being a better runner. The greater goal of the user is clearly met there. Then payment, not so much. You know, I had some info on the shoes, but maybe I'm not so entirely convinced. So there we have some improvements possible to improve the UX. And then at the end, when they receive the product, they get some extra info. So this is actually fine. So the key takeaways here are that you have to research for patterns in your user paths. So you have to see, where does my product fit in, not just with competitors, but also with other paths of life of the user. And then you have to pick a space where you can become preferable, and then you have to repeat all the value that you create throughout the entire flow. And this way, the user will experience buying the product as being a better runner. And this way, they won't even remember that they bought the product, because they just got better automatically because they followed your onboarding flow. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much. Yeah, stop sharing. That was fantastic and a very good case study. And I appreciate all of the nods to sustainability as well. It's actually been quite quiet in the chat, so I don't think we really have much Q&A, but we are going to set up a special session for you. So anyone who wants to talk to Hendrik after the talk here, can go have a chat with him about the case study that he was describing. But yes, agree with you. User onboarding is super important, and we should all be obsessed with it, because it's really our one shot to get the clients on board from the very start.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for having me.
So yeah, thank you so much, and we'll see you in the Q&A, and we'll be back at 8 o'clock for the next speakers. So we've got plenty of time for sessions and networking before Hannelore comes on. So thanks again, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.